Well, I started fighting when I was, I believe, 15 years old. People would hit me, and I'd just look at them. I was a Texas heavyweight champion at one time. I was in the top 50 in the world when they had a top 50 in the world for a while. But I guess the claim to fame is when I did a 2-round exhibition with Joe Frazier and bloodied his nose in the first round. And I haven't forgotten it to this day. I was scared to death when I saw the blood. Muhammad Ali was there, and it was right before the fight. It was actually when we were fixing to get in the ring, and Ali was there giving him this and that and what have you. And I said, oh my God, he's gonna make him angry. He's gonna take it out on me. So. Well, there was a junior high school friend of mine. His father was a truck broker, and talked to him and what have you. And he said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm trying to find some way to make some money. And he said, do you want to unload some trucks? And I said, what does it pay? I think he said $40. And I said, $40 back in would have been 74 or what have you. Wasn't bad. So I started unloading trucks, and the people that were driving them and what have you started asking them how much this paid, how much that paid, what this cost, so on and so forth. I got a truck and started driving it myself, and I got to know the ins and outs of the business and the trials and tribulations that the drivers have to go through or had to go through, and that's where my respect came from.
I've been around the business my whole life in some form or fashion, not this yard, but other yards I was running around before I could talk. But I wanted to get down and get more directly involved about 8 or 9 years ago. And since then, I've really just focused on, learning and observing and seeing what my dad did and how he built the company. Because obviously I've been around for 35 years or something before then, 40 years now, and obviously it's gone very well. And he's built and run a successful company. So my kind of approach was 2 years, one mouth, or 2 years, zero mouths, and really just kind of learn and see exactly, how things were done. Because I don't want to reinvent something, or I don't want to change something that's working well. And what I've told people around here, my priorities in continuing to transition this over to me are don't change anything, don't change anything, don't change anything. We take care of our customers. We don't get out over our skis. We don't try to grow more than we're able to. And in fact, we're not really looking to grow. We treat people the right way. We pay people fairly. We don't broker out freight. We have company-owned trucks so we can keep control of it. And we just try to run a tight-knit operation. And we try to stick to our knitting. And I think a lot of times that people get into trouble when they start trying to do, a little bit more than they're able to, or they start trying to grow a little bit more than they should. And so one of the things that I tell every driver that I meet with here is, we're not trying to be the biggest. We are trying to be the best. By that, we're about 400 trucks right now. We're stable. We're relevant to our customers. We're going to be around for a long time. We'd rather run a quality organization at this size rather than try and reach it a little bit too far, and then we don't have the people we want around here, and then we don't have the culture, and then we can't service our customers the same. And that's more important to us than trying to, beat our chest and be, an extra 50 or 100 trucks. And it works better for the drivers that way too, because, in addition to the people they're sharing equipment with and the people that are working on their trucks, if you get too many trucks out there, all of a sudden, we got to keep this truck running. I got to take this lane. I got to run this freight. And by the way, it may not be a lane that's really good for you. It may be, a bad length of haul, or have too many stops, or have bad appointment times, but you're trying to keep the trucks moving, so you take the lane. That's a situation we never want to be in. We'd always rather have a little bit more demand from our customers than we're able to meet, because then we're able to make sure we only take the lanes that are going to work well for our drivers. And as long as we do that, then our drivers are going to get their miles and our drivers are going to get paid. So we want to make sure they're getting paid and make sure they get treated with respect. And if we can do those two things right, a lot of other things fall into place.
I tell all the drivers when they get here, if anybody ever says anything that you find disrespectful and what have you, I said, you call me and we'll get to the bottom of it. I'm not going to say you're right and I'm not going to say you're wrong, but we're going to get to the bottom of it.
Before any driver comes here, once they're scheduled to come, my dad gives them a phone call, says, James Helwig, founder and CEO, welcome to the company, tells them a little bit about us and tells them what he just said. So they know before they even get on property that, if anything goes the wrong way, they can walk in his door and say something. The first week they're there, I follow that up. I make sure I meet with them all in person. I give them my business card, it's got my phone number and my email on it, and I say the same thing. And I say, look, if somebody doesn't treat you the right way, then let me know. That usually means that people do things the right way the first time around, and so we don't hear things that go in the wrong way, and that's the whole point. But if they do need to, then that's we'll talk with the driver, we'll meet with the driver. They know how to get to us, and they're not going to be stopped getting to us, and we'll deal with it directly at that point. I want to take a second on one other thing too, which I don't know if we got to, but is our approach to safety. I think that's it's both a business item, but it's also a culture and a driver issue too. My dad's always been very, very safety focused, and I absolutely support that and want to keep it the same way. Some of the things that we talk about when I talk to the drivers is there's a certain amount of regulations you have to be as a motor carrier to qualify and be legal and all that stuff. Like, let's say that's here, we're trying to be here. And the reason we're trying to be here is because my dad and I are the only ones that own the company. And so we don't have to tell anybody how much money we don't make or do make. But the point is that if we want to leave a couple dollars on the table and we want to run a few less miles because we want to play it a little bit closer to the vest on safety and keep other people on the road safe and keep our drivers safe, we can do that. There's no amount of cutting corners or pushing the envelope that's worth having one of those calls that you could have prevented. And that's something my dad's always taken very seriously for the entirety of the history of the company, and that's something I take very seriously too. And so, we want to make sure we keep our drivers safe, and we want to make sure we keep everybody else safe too. And so that's something we feel very passionately about, playing it on the safe side with safety, and not meant to be a pun, but just playing it on the safe side with that and skewing to that side. And we also have, do you have your ring on?
The way I grew up, a gold ring was something very, very special. So if a driver is here for 1 year, constantly, consecutively, and has no accidents, not even a fender bender, okay, no accidents, he gets a gold ring. Every year after that he doesn't have an accident, he gets a diamond. So that's the way that started.
Yeah, it's been very, very well received. It's been a cool program. Look, we've got a number of features on the trucks. I think that we're a little bit old school in the sense that the truck's only as good as the person driving it. And so, we really try to pay more attention to making sure they have the, enough experience and safe experience that when we have them in orientation, the conversations sitting eye to eye, being in the room with them, that they look like somebody we trust to be in one of our trucks. And that we're speaking the same language, and we just feel that they also prioritize safety. So, we do have a number, like I said, of the different features that have come out, and I'm sure we'll add more as time goes on. But at the end of the day, it's really just more about the person. Look, I think we're looking for somebody that understands they have an important job. I mean, technically speaking, we're looking for somebody that has at least 6 months of experience, if not more, has a clean safety background, clean employment history, no criminal history, the standard fare things that we, want to make sure that we have a quality individual. But more importantly, we're looking for somebody that that will prioritize getting a customer load there on time, because we are a very high service carrier, and we do prioritize getting our loads there on time. And if you look at the carrier awards that we've won, they're not just a good carrier. This is like literally number one. And so, somebody that's coming here, needs to know that we also very much prioritize service, because that's what we built the company on. And so that we're looking for a driver that understands loads need to get there on time. And when I said has an important job, one of the other things, and this kind of goes back a little bit to talking about how we treat drivers with respect. One of the things I say is that, one of the best things about COVID was, well, one, there was no traffic. I think that's what all the drivers appreciated the most. So I don't want to rank number one and number two, but there were two good things for truck drivers. One, there was no traffic, and two, and that one's kind of a joke, but a little serious. And the other one is that that everybody in this country really recognized what truck drivers do. And we thought that was a very special time, because there was, that it was very obvious how important the truck drivers and the trucking industry was to keeping the country moving, to getting things on shelves, to getting food to the grocery store. Well, I'll start off actually by tying it back to boxing, because while my dad was a very successful boxer, he also had relatively short arms for a heavyweight. So the reason I say that is because it wasn't like there was going to be a free lunch. There was going to be, to get a shot in, you were going to need to take risk of getting hit, because if their arm's longer than yours is, then in order for you to land one, you got to get in pretty close. And I think that was kind of a mentality that can apply to work ethic too. It's like, you don't necessarily have to, I don't think either one of us believe that we're the most gifted or the smartest, or the most talented guys in the room, or have the longest arms. But what we will do is we will get in there and fight. And we will work hard. We show up and try to lead by example. My dad's always said, I've heard him say 1,000 times, it's not a complicated business. You gotta treat people the right way and get stuff from point A to point B. But the important thing is that you have to do it, and you have to say what you're going to do, and you have to be honest, and you have to have integrity, and you have to say, you have to make good on your promises.
I get excited every time I see a truck going down the road, knowing that we're doing our job, and something very, very proud of. And I'm also very proud of the Son.